The Second World War, the deadliest conflict in human history. But how did it all begin? At the center of this catastrophic chapter stands one man, Adolf Hitler. Through ruthless political maneuvering, weaponized propaganda, and an extremist ideology, Hitler transformed Germany and plunged the world into war. This is the story of how one man's vision for a twisted empire led to global conflict and genocide. After Germany's defeat in World War I, the country was shattered. The Treaty of Versailles humiliated Germany, crippling its economy, reducing its military, and forcing it to accept full blame for the war. Amid chaos, poverty, and resentment, Adolf Hitler began to gain attraction. Hitler joined the German Workers' Party in 1919. By 1921, he had reshaped it into the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or the Nazi Party. With charisma, fiery oratory, and promises to restore Germany's greatness, Hitler exploited public anger. He blamed Jews, communists, and the Versailles Treaty for Germany's decline. After he failed a coup in 1923, Hitler was imprisoned. There he wrote Mein Kampf, laying out his vision for a greater Germany, racial purity in Germany, the living space in Eastern Europe, and the destruction of Jews and Marxists. By 1933, amid the Great Depression and political instability, Hitler was appointed Chancellor. Within months, he used the Reichstag fire and the Enabling Act to seize unmatched power.
No dictatorship survives without control over information, and Hitler knew this well. He appointed Joseph Goebbels as Minister of Propaganda. Under Goebbels, every newspaper, film, and radio station echoed Nazis' ideology. Propaganda glorified Hitler as Germany's savior. Enemies were dehumanized, especially the Jews, who were portrayed as subhuman parasites. The Hitler Youth and League of German Girls trained the generation in loyalty and militarism. Books were burned, art and science were censored, German society became saturated with hatred, nationalism, and blind obedience. Even international events like the 1936 Berlin Olympics were used to present a clean image of Nazi Germany, while being the scenes persecution grew.
At the heart of Nazi ideology was a toxic belief in Aryan supremacy. In Germany, the Aryan race was believed to be superior to all. People with blonde hair and blue eyes were believed to be Aryan and were superior. In 1935, Heinrich Himmler created Lebensborn, meaning font of life. Unmarried women deemed racially superior were selected to be part of this program and lived in maternity homes. Men deemed racially superior would come into these homes and breed with these women, and they would have kids that had Aryan traits and were deemed racially superior. Women who had multiple Aryan children were awarded the Cross of Honor of the German Mother. The Nazis also kidnapped kids that they believed to be Aryan, and members of the SS were assigned to raise them. Members of the SS also raised kids produced from the Lebensborn program, as the moms of these children were tasked to have more Aryan children and could not take care of their young. On the other hand, Jews, Roma, disabled people, and Slavs were deemed racially inferior. Hitler's regime sought to purify the German race. In 1935, the Nuremberg Laws stripped Jews of citizenship and banned intermarriage. In 1938, the Night of Broken Glass saw synagogues burned, businesses looted, and thousands of Jews arrested. These were not isolated incidents. They were steps on a planned path that would lead to the Holocaust.
Hitler's goal wasn't just domination of Germany, it was European conquest. In 1936, he remilitarized the Rhineland, violating the Treaty of Versailles. In 1938, he annexed Austria and the Anschluss. That same year, the Munich Conference, Britain and France appeased Hitler by letting him take the Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia. But Hitler wasn't done. In August of 1939, he signed the Nazi-Soviet Pact with Stalin, an agreement to divide Poland. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland. 2 days later, Britain and France declared war. World War II had begun. Throughout history, military power has been defined by strategy, weaponry, and sheer force. But behind the scenes of Nazi Germany's wartime machine, another factor played a pivotal role, one that few talk about today. It wasn't just tanks, tactics, or soldiers, it was a chemical weapon of a different kind, Privitin. This stimulant, better known today as methamphetamine, surged through the veins of the German military, fueling their rapid invasions and relentless stamina. What started as a pharmaceutical breakthrough soon became a driving force behind the Third Reich's war machine. But like all shortcuts, this one came at a price. It all started with the German pharmaceutical company Temmler Werk, which marketed a new stimulant as a miracle drug. They called it Privitin. It became so popular that Hitler himself became addicted. Privitin was marketed to soldiers to be a good way to increase stamina and alertness. Nazi soldiers consumed over 35 million tablets of this drug, and even tank drivers and pilots consumed it in chocolate form. Soldiers who took Privitin could march for days without sleep, drive tanks non-stop, and remain razor-sharp during combat. This chemical edge allowed Nazi forces to invade countries with a level of brute force no one expected. But methamphetamine is no miracle. It's a dangerous drug. While it kept soldiers awake and alert, it had severe psychological effects. Long-term meth use caused extreme aggression, paranoia, and hallucinations. Many Nazi soldiers became increasingly violent and delusional, unable to distinguish reality from fantasy. Historians believe that the drug may have contributed to the brutality seen in Nazi ranks. What started as a military advantage soon turned into a nightmare. Though methamphetamine gave the Nazis an edge in battle, it couldn't stop the inevitable. The war ended, but the legacy of Privitin remained. A dangerous drug, once used to build an empire, would later become infamous worldwide for its devastating effects on the human body and mind.
As Hitler conquered territory, he implemented the final solution, a systematic plan to exterminate Jews. Jews, Gypsies, Slavs, people with disabilities, political opponents, LGBTQ individuals, Freemasons, and even Spanish Republicans were forced into ghettos. They were starved, beaten, and transported in cattle cars to extermination camps. Some of the bigger and most popular camps are Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Sobibor. Over 6 million Jews were murdered alongside millions of others. This was not spontaneous violence. It was a bureaucracy-driven genocide. With chill and efficiency, the Nazi state built an industrialized system of death. Hitler's rise and the horrors he unleashed remind us of the costs of unchecked power, hate, and propaganda. At the Nuremberg trials, Nazi leaders were held accountable. Germany was rebuilt, and the world vowed never again. But history demands more than remembrance. It demands vigilance against the same forces of hate and extremism that once engulfed the world in flames. We study history not just to learn what happened, but to ensure it doesn't ever happen again.